So there's a system for scaling. There's a system for growing, and it doesn't start where most people thinks it starts. It starts with your differentiation always. It starts with what's unique and special about you always. It starts with there. It starts with how you're serving your market better and differently than anyone and everyone else out there. Always.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It is my pleasure to have Chris Goegan with us. Chris helps entrepreneurs scale, systematize, and exit. That means more growth, time, income, and profit. He's worked with many thought leaders, including his friend and our past guest, Michael E. Gerber. Chris lives in California, but is from Canada, so he talks funny. He's married to his wife, Naomi, and has 4 kids and a lab named Scout. Chris, it's so great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Stephan. It's great to be here.
So first of all, I'd love to hear a little bit about your origin story. How did you get interested in entrepreneurship and getting to scale and getting to exit?
Yes, it's an interesting one, and I wish I could say it was all by design. I guess I'd been had a little bit of an entrepreneur in me. Like I started out, had a paper route, growing up in Canada, and it was I enjoyed that, and slinging, riding my bike and slinging papers in the dead of winter, was fun. And then when I went off to college, I guess you could say the first business I had, I was buying hockey sticks. At the time, there was a big rivalry between Canada and Russia, and I got a great price on Russian hockey sticks, and they were a real novelty. So I got a great price, and I was turning around and selling them for a couple bucks profit. But my path was I was going to be an engineer, and I went to one of the top engineering schools in the country. Graduated towards the top of my class, and had a job at Ford Motor Company, and was building high volume manufacturing lines for Ford. And I absolutely loved it. I loved the work because I loved getting thrown into one of the worst areas of the plant. So I'd fix it, make it better. And it was a time where their quality that was really bad. This is in the late 80s, early 90s. And they're really turning things around. So I was a junior in college working as a full-time engineer. And I had a $40 million personal budget. So it was a great time, for to do stuff, to figure out, go into an area, figure out where all the problems were, prioritize them, identify them first, and then put fixes in place, and then put a dashboard in place, and statistics and measurements, and then be able to remotely from a desk look at the dashboard to see if the problems were gone. And our marching orders were really simple: it's make 1 million engines defect free every single year. That was it, So it was a great time, and little did I realize, every step of my journey, little did I realize how much and how significant it really would be years later when I'm doing what I'm doing. And as I talk about this, it's that's where my love of systems came in place. As an engineer, my love of stats. I've always been great with numbers. I aced my calc in the engineering school. I just love numbers and looking at data and looking at patterns. That was always very natural to me. No idea about marketing, at the time. I was a pure engineer, and I was great at systems. And then just a quick side note is we were the first plant that put a robot in place, which was really fascinating because it's here years later, it's like AI. I feel like it's the same thing all over again, but different. But I digress. And then I moved to California. I chased a 5'3" blonde to California, and she turned into a 5'4" brunette. People are like, how did that happen? Well, they say, marketing, it's all about the offer, right? So my wife said, Chris, marry me instead of her, and I'll give you beautiful children, and I'll get you the green card. So, green card was the kicker. So I married Naomi, and 4 beautiful children later, and that green card, she definitely held her end of it. But when I moved to California, I was working as an engineer. I was designed and built parts for the International Space Station program, the Real World, Hunt for Red October submarine, a bunch of other things. But I was capped as an engineer. And it's I won more. And I saw a friend, or the potential to make more. And a friend was making a lot of money in sales and wasn't getting calls on weekends to come in, and fix problems. So I got into sales, and I sold what I'd been using as an engineer. And so I thought it'd be super easy. I was a great technician and I understood the product incredibly well. No clue about sales.
Hmm.
And it's when I started, it's like, that's when it really hit me. It's like, man, I have no clue about sales. Cause the first year, I think I came in at about 10% of my quota and I got fired. Um, Surprise. And actually, even before that, it was like about 3 months in, I landed a really big client. And so I'm like, man, it's like, I was doing some calculations and I went to my boss and I said, how about can I just go like straight commission, get rid of my base, a higher commission? Cause I'll make more money. He's like, sure. And, I did. And then the next month I lost that client. So it was like, it was pretty brutal. And I learned that I really had no clue about sales. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to learn about sales and how to sell. And a little while later, I stumbled across a guy, Jeffrey Hansler, who took me under his wing and said, Chris, I will teach you how to sell. And he goes, I'm going to make fun of you. I'm going to tear you down. And it's all going to be at your expense. But when you get out, you're going to be able to do incredibly well. And he kept true to his word. He like mocked me and laughed at me and made fun of me, and it was the best experience I've ever had as far as learning, because I learned about people, why people buy, how people buy, which was able to turn later on to like how people buy online, and then persuasion, influence, negotiation. I learned NLP and then how to like conversationally like uncover people's like emotional like wants and needs and desires just from a conversation. And it was a great experience. It's like another note about how dumb I was when I was interviewing with Jeffrey. He was offering me $4,000 a month, and I started negotiating with him, and I negotiated him from $4,000 a month down to $3,000 a month.
Oh, how did that happen?
I was an idiot. I because it's like I thought it was too much at the time, and I was just dumb. I had no clue. I had no clue what I was doing. And then because I was a great technician, and I had no clue about sales, and I had no clue. And then when I got into marketing, I had more of a clue about marketing because I learned about sales. And then so working with Jeffrey and other things, I eventually like got really good at sales and figured it out, and then. I banged out over 100,000 cold calls in my day. And I was going to buy a direct mail franchise called RSVP. They make postcards. It's direct mail postcards. And so I went to work with them. I was like, you know what, before I buy, shell out about 400 grand to buy a franchise, I should test drive this just to make sure it's like, it's something I really want. So I start up a new area, and then I was, the guy who stunk in sales. I posted the highest ever first year sales in the history of all the franchises, and they were all across the country. And I did it in an 8-month period, and it was like, and I was never smart at any one area. I was just too stubborn to quit, and I like saw everything as a process. And step one, okay, if I get really good at step one, then I can get really good at step two, then I can get really good at step three, then I can get really good at step four. So if I can do that, then I can do really well. And so I did, and then when I was actually going to buy the franchise, and someone said, Chris, why don't you just save yourself some money, and just because you love helping people, why don't you just get in consulting? So I got into consulting. This was before the internet, so tons of direct mail stuff. Then the internet came along, and started learning different traffic platforms and stuff like that. And then so I really just I stumbled into like what I'm doing now. It wasn't by design; it was more by providence. God kind of led me through everything. To where I am. And so I blend engineering, sales, marketing, and systems. Together. I'm also an endurance athlete, so it's like that Iron Man type mentality of like, no, we're not going to quit. It's just it's just one step, just one step, just one step, just one step, and then eventually you can if you can learn, you can figure things out. There's the long-winded version.
So where did Michael Gerber come into play here?
Yeah, so Michael Gerber, Michael found me through his wife, Luz Delia. And Liz Delia was into very much into natural health, and she was at this this really large natural health conference, and and she went up and she loved the conference. She loved like everything, and she went up to the guy who runs the conference, and Steve, and she said, Steve, it's like your marketing's fantastic. Like can you help me? What should I do? And he laughed. He goes, talk to Chris. Because he was a startup. He had no connections in the industry. He knew nothing. He knew no one. And within 3 years, him and I working together, he was largest in the world. And so Liz Daly looked me up. So, hey, I'm just up the street. We got on the phone, talked. And then she says, well, why don't you come down here and meet? So I met with her, and she's like, you got to meet my husband. I'm like, your last name's Gerber. Is it like any relation to Michael? She laughed, goes, yeah. So she was called Michael in. Michael came in and talked, and then we had a really good conversation. Both systems guys, and he loved the conversation and said, "Let's have another conversation." Which then led to another conversation, which led to another conversation and another conversation, and then he's like, "Why don't you? You know what? I love it if you could come and help me." Which was like flattering because here's a guy who's known as the systems guy. Asking me to help him build the systems, and we did a lot of really cool things together. In fact, we were just talking a couple weeks ago, and he said that he goes, Chris, he goes, you've never disappointed, you've always delivered, and what you've put together, what you've done, you have what I don't have, what I've been missing all these years. So I thought that was pretty cool. Michael
That's
said a
high
lot.
praise.
Yeah, he said a lot of nice things. But Michael's a genius. That guy is smart. And I'm telling you, anybody listen to this, if you have not got his book and read the E-Myth, go get it. Get the E-Myth Revisited. Go get it and read it. It's absolutely it's fantastic. It's like top 10 list of books that billionaires read. That one, and so many people have built so many big businesses. I'll credit that as one of the foundational books. So,
yeah. What's the most impactful thing you've learned from Michael or from reading his materials?
So I spent a lot of time with Michael. We worked together for years, and we'd have conversations every day. And actually, like in hindsight, I wish that I had just recorded our conversations, because we'd be driving around and and just talking. And it's like, gosh, it's like this would be good for people to hear, but it didn't. But one of the greatest things that guy's just so brilliant, but he's like very entrepreneurial. And I was always more of a technician than an entrepreneur. In fact, I was interviewed for a docu-series on entrepreneurialism. The guy interviewed me after. He goes, Patrick Contempo. He's like, man, he goes, you totally changed how I look at entrepreneurs. He goes, because you're not a typical entrepreneur. he's like, I would have pegged you not to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, I totally agree with you. And so Michael, it wasn't so much what Michael said, anything he said, it was just being around him. That kind of rubbed off, because that was a big time for me, because I was happy being a guy in the background, just doing the work for people. Like my client who we built the world's largest natural health conference. Oh, I was a guy that I created all the marketing, I created all the campaigns, I created the strategy, I created like all the stuff, and together like him and I rolled it out. But it was like I was always happy being the guy in the background, and I didn't want to be the front man. I was just happy doing the work, because I actually loved the work, and just being around Michael, having that entrepreneurialism of him come off, and it rubbed off. And then I had this light bulb moment where it's almost like right out of the E-Myth book. I sat there and it's like, I've built and grown so many companies. I've helped so many businesses scale. And I'm like, why don't I do this for myself? It was that light bulb moment. So it's like, yeah, why don't I? So that was probably the biggest thing, from Michael. And Michael he's just so smart, and he's like, the way he looks at the world is really brilliant, and the way he simplifies things is really brilliant.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I got to chat several times with him and with his wife Liz Delia, Amazing guy. So you mentioned Patrick Gentempo and his docuseries. It's the entrepreneurial brain, right?
Yep.
So what is the angle or the hook that Patrick took with the docuseries? Because there are plenty of documentaries about entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurship. So what made his unique or worth watching?
For me, it's Patrick is excellent. Like Michael is excellent. Like what makes the E Myth so worth watching or so worth reading? Well, is it anything in the book? Yeah, sure. The systems that he talks about and turnkey systems and all the different systems that you create. But more than that, it's Michael. And so the entrepreneurial brain. It's like there's excellent technical stuff in there, but Patrick is he's excellent, and he's got like such a big passion to help entrepreneurs. Where it's just really genuine, and the interviews were just really heartfelt. It wasn't just like, hey, let's put a product out and let's see how much money we can make off of it, and next. No, he puts his heart and soul into it. And Patrick's book, Your Stand is Your Brand, is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. We had a good discussion, about that, because it's like you could almost not read the book, but you should read the book. But just by just reading the title, like, your stand is your brand. Like you got to stand for something. Right? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. And so it's just Patrick's passion, just to help people and help people like become entrepreneurs. I thought would make that excellent.
Okay. Well, I'll have to put Patrick Gentempo on my to interview list or my wish list.
He's a good guy, man. He is, yeah, great entrepreneur.
So let's talk about some of the systems and frameworks, methodologies, and so forth that you've developed.
Sure. Where do we begin?
Well, let's relate it to the marketing side of an organization. What sort of things would make our listener or our viewer go, wow, that is something I never thought of, or that is something that really helps clarify things or simplify things for me?
I think one of the things when we're looking at systematizing stuff, well, first of all, it's like it depends what stage the business is at. So when you're in startup, you're not really systematizing anything when you're in startup mode. And when you're scrapping to get to six figures, you're still not really systematizing things, because you're still trying to figure out what business you're in. You're still trying to figure out your product and your service. I've worked in over 100 different industries, and it's the same for every industry. You're scrappy. When you're scrappy until you kind of figure out, and you do everything. Like as an engineer, we used to give work to this company called AFM, and I asked my engineering manager, "What does AFM stand for?" And he smiled and he goes, "It stands for anything for money." He goes, they would knock on the door and they'd say, "You have any work?" They're highly skilled machinists. And "You have any work?" And you say, "What do you do?" He goes, "We'll do anything for money." So I love that, because it's like when you're starting off in business, you're in AFM mode. You'll do anything for money. And then, and then once you start getting some traction and you start getting some revenue, then you figure out, I like this, I hate this, I love this, I don't like this so much. So this is the area I want to specialize more in. And then when you find that area that you want to specialize in, then you can start working on the systematizing of things. Because before you can systematize anything, see, I've got a very simple, pragmatic approach to systems. Before you can, and I think it's probably why they work so well. I've built hundreds and hundreds of systems in advertising and marketing, in sales and operations, in exiting. And the big thing is, you just got to figure out how to do it first. Like, if you don't know how to do it, you can't systematize it. Because really what you're doing is I love to cook, and I have a smoker, and I love to barbecue and smoke, and so it's like, well, if I'm making ribs, I can't systematize the ribs until I figure out how to make them. I got to figure out what seasoning blend I want to have, and then I got to figure out how long they're going to cook for. Am I going to do a 3-2-1 method? Am I going to do just let it go for 6-8 hours? What temperature am I going to cook at? 225, 275. Am I going to wrap? Not wrap. Am I going to sauce or not sauce it? I got to figure out how to make the ribs first. If I don't know how to make the ribs, I can't systematize it. The whole process. I can systematize parts of it. I can say, okay, well, you know what? Mm-hmm. I found for the ribs, I found this blend of spices is the best. So I could quantify, okay, like how many how many cups or tablespoons of this spice and this spice and this spice and this spice to put together, and I can have my daughter do that, or my son, right? But I got to figure out how to make the spice blend first, and then or I just buy one I find one off the shelf that matches what I like. Hey, put the spice on, and then put the spice on, and so I can show them how to do it. So I got to figure out how to do it first. Second is I'll show them how to do it. Hey, this is how you put it on, and then I'll have them do it. So okay, now you do it, and then they do it, and then I check it, and then if they're going to do it again, like, hey, you just do it, and I'll just monitor it, and I'll make sure it's done right, and then I'll document it. So when people think of systems, they think of them. They tend to think of them like this like 4-inch thick stack of paper that goes thump on the desk that nobody reads. That is a major pain in the butt to create this document. Well, it's not like that at all. It's just figuring out how to do it, how to create that 5-star experience in every aspect of the business or whatever aspect you're working on. So you just figure out how to create that, and then teach somebody how to do it. Make sure that they know how to do it, and then have a measurement in place so you can make sure that is being done well.
So what's an example of a process or system or some sort of SOP that you've put into place in your company that has made a huge difference for you?
One of the things where I'm gonna relate this back to, I'm gonna answer the question, but in a different way. So when people would come to me, okay, hey, I want to grow my business. It's like, okay, well, why? And they're like, well, I need more sales. Like, I want to hit a higher revenue. I need more sales. This is how the conversation would go. I need more sales. And so I need more leads. I need more leads. So I need more traffic. So I need you. I want you and your team to build some traffic programs for us. And they're starting in the absolute wrong spot. 100% of the time, the wrong spot. I don't care if they're a startup. I don't care if they're 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. They're in the wrong spot because people want growth, and I'm sure that's exactly why they're here, hoping that they can learn something about growth from this this Canadian guy, and so it doesn't matter what level your business is at. Usually, you got to start doing some outreach. And so traffic is the wrong place to start. Sorry. And so, a system that I created for growing businesses, and we've got an extremely high success rate. We've got about a 99% success rate, is we don't start with traffic. We start from having worked with so many clients. I found that what made our programs, there's commonality between everything that made the programs that we did so well. It's not our genius. I just found this. And what we did is we started with their selling system. We started with their uniqueness, with their differentiation, and we started with their selling system. So by recognizing that, I created a process. I created a system for growth. We don't turn traffic on right away. Absolutely fails. So many, like I would work with one client, they said, and they worked with one of the world's leading brain doctors, and he was, he wanted to sell more of a program on ADD. And he's like, I was working with his marketing guys. Yeah, we're doing email, we're doing Google, we're doing Facebook, we're doing YouTube, we're doing videos, we're doing emails, it went down the whole list of, we're doing all this stuff. And when I looked at the stuff, it's like, you're doing it, but there's massive gaps in how you're doing it. You're checking the boxes, but it's not done right. And so we added, I was going over this with Patrick, and he was like, what? We added one simple little email series in there It's like 3 email series and we doubled their sales. Because like I look, as an engineer, I look at things like a whole assembly line. So when you're making an engine block, you got a raw casting that goes in at step one. It goes through 1,000 different steps to have a finished engine. So if any one of those steps is off, the system, the whole thing's you're not going to make that the desired end product. So if all you're doing is traffic and you're not looking at all these other things, you're going to fail. You are. And you're going to be disappointed with the results, and you're going to fire whoever you hire, whether it's an agency, whether it's a consultant, whether it's someone internally. You're going to get disappointed. You're going to get upset. So the place to start is not with traffic; it's with your differentiation. And everyone hears this stuff, but very few actually do it. Very few actually do it at the depth that you need to do it at these days in order to do well. Like the time we're recording this thing, we're in a recession worldwide. Small businesses are getting hammered. And if you don't do this stuff, if there's not something different and special that stands out about you, you're going to get crushed. And a lot of businesses are going under. If you do have something different and special about you, then we want to get that, make that extremely clear what that is, and then we want to shout it from the rooftops. I created a 5-day workshop where I go over like the principles of all this stuff. And at the time, someone had just given me some like competition ribs and something and I was like so excited to cook these things, and I was recording it. I was saying, it's like, you create your differentiation, you create this, and once you got that, you go and you shut it from the pork chops. It's like, I didn't even know, and as I was on the recording, I didn't even know I said that, and someone brought up, like, Chris, what does it mean you shut it from the pork chops? It's like, oh. I was thinking about this competition pork that I got. So, but so you shut it from the pork chops, but you create that. But it's a great time to advertise because costs are so low right now, because so many people are bailing from advertising platforms. So we're seeing ad costs what they were 10 years ago. But I digress. So there's a system for scaling. There's a system for growing, and it doesn't start where most people think it starts. It starts at with your differentiation always. It starts with what's unique and special about you always. It starts with there. It starts with how you're serving your market better and differently than anyone and everyone else out there. Always. Michael Gerber always talks about what's the great thing that you want to do for others as part of the vision for your business. Well, you create your differentiation and what you want to specialize in and the unique way of helping that. And then you go to work on your selling system. So there's a process, and then you go to work on your selling system, and then you go to work, and we identified that in my over a decade in cold calling, over 100,000 cold calls. Here's a grand summation. There's 3 types of prospects you'll ever come across in your life. No more, no less. Just 3. You want to know what they are?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is pure genius. You're going to be like, wow. There's cold prospects, warm prospects, and hot prospects. That's it. So now colds have no interest they have no problem. So they have no interest in buying. Warms have a problem, but they're not sure if they want to solve it or not yet. They're looking around at different potential solutions, trying to figure out if they want to invest time, money, and energy to solve that problem. Hot's got a problem they want to get rid of, and they're actively looking for the best solution to, keyword is buy. They're actively looking for the best solution to buy. So I've got somebody with no problem, somebody with a problem, but I'm not sure if how much time, money, and energy I want to invest to solve it. Another one, no, I want to buy it. If we talk to all 3 of those people the same way, what result are we going to get?
Lukewarm.
Well, the hots will resonate. The colds will annoy, will piss them off, will just annoy them. Like, dude, why are you trying to sell me? I'm like, why are you hammering me so hard? I'm like, I'm not interested. Go away. The warms would be like, yeah, whoa, easy there, Speedy. It's like, slow down, Tiguan. It's like I like what you're saying, but you're moving too fast for me. It's like, I don't like this pressure that I'm feeling from you. So yeah, we're making a sale today, but we're pushing away colds and warms. And today's money is in the hots. Tomorrow's money is in the colds and the warms, especially the warms. So like, why don't we create a system for each of those? Why don't we create a system for the colds? Why don't we create a system for the warms? Why don't we create a system for the hots? And the hots, we're just going to sell the hots. The others, we're going to be their best friend. We're going to help them. We're going to help all three of them. But it's like we're not going to push hard. We're not going to do countdown timers and colds and warms. We're not going to do the stuff that just all this marketing stuff that just annoys people. No, hots we can different game for the hots. So when you understand that not everyone's the same, someone can need your product, but if they don't want it, it's a different story.
Yeah,
they gotta want it before they're hot. If they don't want it, they can need it. It's like my wife. I could have needed to marry her, but if she didn't want to marry me, it wasn't going to go anywhere. So okay. So now let's build a system for the hots. Let's build a system for the warms. Let's build a system for the colds. Okay. So now we've got our differentiation. So there's a system we're following. So now we've got our differentiation. Now we've got our selling process. Now we've got a system for the hots, system for the warms, system for the colds. Now we're ready for traffic. So that's building a marketing system. That's building an outreach system. So and then when you look at things, step back, and I'm going to use Michael Gerber's three-legged stool analogy because I love his simplicity of stuff. If you're watching the video, of this, you'll get it. If you're listening to the audio, I've got 3 fingers pressing down on the palm of my hand, my thumb, my next finger, my middle finger, and they're forming a three-legged stool. So on a three-legged stool, if one of the legs is missing, what's going to happen to that stool? It's going to collapse, right? So the 3 legs, and Michael calls this the core building block of any business. So the 3 legs are lead generation, lead conversion, and client fulfillment. Lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment. You got to get leads, marketing. You got to close leads, sales. You have to deliver on the leads like you promised you would when you're selling and marketing. That's fulfillment. So now when you look at, okay, each of those 3, okay, those represent our 3 core systems for a business that we need to build. So if we build a system for lead generation, which I just talked about, that was the more in-depth version of the, there's more layers to it, but that was like the more, about the lead generation. Lead conversion, have a system for how you close leads. Some people just get on a call and do it ad hoc. They hop on Zoom. They're on Zoom for 2 hours. There's no sale, so then they chase them around for the next 2 months. 100 emails later, maybe they hop on another Zoom call for 2 hours. Nothing happens, and they chase them around, and then they get annoyed. Both people get annoyed, and then no sale happens. That's not a system. So I've got a simple assessment, a green, yellow, red assessment, and it's on. I have it on my YouTube channel, and it's on my website too. But where you grade yourself. It's like red is you do everything ad hoc. You just do whatever it takes, to get leads or make sales or fulfill. You do whatever it takes. You do it ad hoc. That's red. Yellow is you have a way to do it. No, this is how we do it. Like talking about sales is okay. Well, sales structure. We'll create a sales structure. So it's like, okay, initial call. How long and what do we do on the initial call? Then we've got a follow-on call. What happens on there, and then what does that lead to? What does that lead to? What does that lead to? Everything's structured out. And then when people hear structure, they think, well, it's going to take away my creativity and my freedom. It couldn't be farther from the truth. You actually have way more freedom, way more fun when you've got things structured, because really what you're doing is you're putting hurdles in place for people to jump over. So I don't spend any time on a call with somebody until there's certain qualifications that they've done. And then on my first call, my 15-minute call with them, it's pure qualifying, but it doesn't seem like it at all. It's very conversational. Where are you stuck? What do you need help with? And and I've got a number of other things I do even before we get on the call. So even before I get on the call, I know if they're qualified or not qualified. So because as business owners or salespeople, the biggest thing that you need to do is protect your time. And that's why systems so we can leverage our time. Most people are working 60, 80 hours a week. And even if they're only working 40, 50 hours a week, they're stressing about work. Instead of being with their family, they're thinking about, crap, how am I going to make payroll? Or how am I going to meet my monthly nut next month? And crap, I need some new accounts coming in, or I need I need this launch to go well, or I need this program to go well. The brain is always on, always thinking about that. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we could like not do that, not have to worry about that? So it's like you got to figure out how to make those ribs yourself first. We got to go from like ad hoc red, no method for marketing, no set method, you just do whatever it takes, to yellow, to no, hey, this is how we market, this is how we market our product, and maybe we've got one lead source working now, to green, where I've got multiple lead sources running and I'm not involved with any of them. I have a dashboard and I'm looking at the statistics and I see that, so we're on track and our forecasts look good. So that's green. So sales, it's like red is you just do stuff ad hoc. Yellow is you got a system, but you're the one doing it. Green is you have a system for how you do it, and other people are doing the sales, and you're just watching it from a dashboard. Same thing with fulfillment. So picture having a business where everything's all green. Multiple leads coming in, you're not doing anything. Sales are happening and you're not doing anything. And they're just being fulfilled on, and you're not doing anything. That's the beauty of systems. So now you're a true business owner. So Michael Gerber would say most people go to work in a business. With systems, you have a business work for you. Massive difference. When you're starting off, like, I love the technical work. I still like it. I just don't want to be doing it all the time. So that's why systems, so other people can do it. Because eventually, it doesn't matter how much you love stuff, you're going to hit a point where you're like, I don't really like doing this when I'm doing. And if you don't have systems in place, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to say, you're going to roll over, to your spouse and say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And they're going to say, well, if you don't do it, who's going to do it? We need food. The mortgage needs to get paid. Kids are in college. So figure out how to do it. Look at your three-legged stool: lead generation, lead conversion, lead and client fulfillment, and then take one of those, like one at a time. Work on one. Figure out how to do it. Train somebody else. Show somebody else how to do it. Train them on how to do it. Watch them do it. Have them do it again. Measure it and document it. It really is simple. But you know what the hardest part about all this is?
What?
It's the owner. And it's like, what do you mean by the owner? Well, the owner gets in their way. It's a 6 inches of space, 6 inches of gray matter between their ears. Because people have identity problems. Their identity is tied up in what they do. Well, people love the thought of being able to like, what if you could, what if you could double, triple your business? Like, if I took one business from 4 million to 65 million. It's like, if you could do that, like, would that be enjoyable? Would that be fun? Would you love that? And a lot of people will say yes. But then when they go to work and we actually remove them from the one doing the work, all of a sudden they have identity issues, because it's like, my identity is tied up in what I do. I'm not the one that's doing the marketing or making the calls or doing the sales presentations or delivering, and I'm not doing the customer interface. So they have a sense of their identity is now they need to change their identity. Second thing is they put their worth in what they do. It's like your worth has got absolutely nothing to do with what you do. Your worth is in who you are as a person. Like the character that you have and who you are as a person. And so there's these mental factors that come into play. And so if an owner is doing 1 million, 2 million, and if they can get over these mental factors, they typically they can grow to 5, 10, 20. We've done that a lot of times. But they got to want to let go. So one of the things that we help, I help people frame it is like, do you have a good product or service? They're like, hey, yeah. Well, it's like, we're the best. It's like, right, you're the best, right? Compared to your competitors. It's like, oh no, we're way better than all our competitors. Okay, great. And then we help them see what their business is, like that they're the magic, they're the one doing everything. And if they stop, the business would stop. So it's okay, well, you've got a product that's the best in the world. Why don't we make a business around that product that's the best in the world? Sometimes that helps with the framing of it. Other times people, they start down the path and they can't let go. They can't let go of the control. And so then I can't help them. And then they stay at that plateau. They'll never get over that plateau.
What's the typical size of client that you work with?
So on the private client side, typically they're doing like, over a million, like million to 5 million, somewhere in there, and they want to get to like you can send that to 1 to 10 million, but say typical 1 to 5 million, they want to get to 10, 20, 50 plus million. There's a new level they want to get to, or they want to exit their business. Like I want to exit, which is a whole other conversation. Most people will get about a tenth of what they could get from their business. And 95% of all sales, well, here's a couple stats for people who are thinking about exiting. 80% of all businesses that want to be sold will not be sold, meaning nobody wants to buy them the way they are. Typically because the business is the owner. Nobody wants to buy a business where it's the owner. The second thing is, out of this 20% that do sell, the vast majority of those, over 75% of those are not happy with the sale. So out of all businesses that want to sell, less than 5% actually sell and are happy with the sale. Mm-hmm. So there's things that you can do to put in place to totally change that game. That would be a whole different conversation that we're not going to get into today.
I know we're running short on time here. Let's close some loops here. So first of all, the green, yellow, red assessment that you mentioned is on your YouTube channel and on your website. Let's add a link to that on the show notes for this episode. So just please follow up with me and give me that link to add to the show notes page. Also, you mentioned that you added a 3 email series to this client's marketing system, and you doubled their sales.
Yep.
I'm curious, first of all, was that Dr. Daniel Amen or somebody else?
It was, yeah, Dr. Daniel Amen, yep.
I had an intuition about that. He was a guest on my other podcast, Get Yourself Optimized. He's phenomenal. I've gone to Amen clinics and done the whole SPECT scan thing, and he's awesome. So what was in that 3 email series that made such a difference?
It was just understanding where people were when they're looking at buying it. And it was just relating to them. Not being salesy, but just relating to them. Mm-hmm. Being human. Being human, talking about their emotions, talking about like what they're feeling, what they're experiencing. So, and it created like the relatability and the comfort, like went way up, and it made it like easy for them to buy, a lot easier.
And did it include additional differentiation, kind of reiterating or emphasizing the unique point of difference that Dr. Amen had, or was that not in this email series?
Yeah, it pretty much is always in like most stuff is, especially when they're getting closer to buying. Yeah, so there's a little bit about that, and Dr. Amen has already done an amazing job of like being an authority and a leader in his space with it. So it did have some of that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And I remembered your question. So who do I work with? So 1 million to 5 million, they want to get to like 5, 10, 20 plus million, or they want to exit. Second category is people doing like multiple 6 figures and want to get to 7 figures. Yeah. And then third category where I created, like I took the system that I created, and I just teach people that. And it's an implementation program. So that's people who are startups to, I'd say 5 startups to 15 grand a month is kind of people that fit in there. And we're building their client acquisition systems. It's the same thing I do with like clients doing 7 figures. The only difference is they would rather have me and my team do the work. Versus this program where it's a structured program, on it.
And what do how do you charge for the done for you option?
Yeah. So done for you, I start off with an assessment, and I analyze their business and like the areas where they want to focus on. And so that's my phase 1, about 2-3 weeks to do that. And then from the assessment, the plan's created. And then from the plan, we get into phase 2, which is a rollout and implementation of the plan. And then and that's several months. And then phase 3 is the fine tuning, optimization, and massive growth phase.
Mm-hmm.
where we once, because the beautiful thing is once you get systems working, and they're doing what they should, and then on the client acquisition side, once you hit that, what Malcolm Gladwell would call the tipping point, once you hit there, then you can crank up the traffic on it, and you go vertical with it. That's where you go, like, typically we'll see first year working with somebody, typical is 25 to 200% growth. Depends on number of factors, the business, the industry, the size, all the rest of that. But typically, if our clients will see 25 to 200% that first year. And then since we're building with a systems approach, they're then positioned to 2x to 10x it. And, year 2, year 3, year 4, it varies by company, by industry, by owner.
Mm-hmm. Are we talking about a 5-figure investment to work with you, or a 4-figure, or?
So phase 1 is depends on what's going on. It's how big the company is and how many areas of the business we're looking at. It's, if we're on-site, off-site, it's 5,000 to 15,000 in that range.
Gotcha. Okay.
If we're just picking one area like marketing or something like that, then it's towards the lower end of the range. So it's for the companies we work with, it's a drop in the bucket.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And what are you most proud of?
And I don't work with anybody unless it's got to be a good mutual fit. They gotta believe, they gotta like my engineered approach and like me, and I have to believe in what they're doing and like them. Mm-hmm. If it's otherwise, I'm not a transaction chaser. I don't. I have good lasting relationships with clients, and so I'm not looking to to turn a buck. I'm looking to have a real true win-win-win situation.
So what are you most proud of that you've accomplished in the last I don't know, 5, 10, 20 years?
Good question. I could talk, say that help, grow this company, help scale that company, or did this or did that. But really, it's just I'm a family guy. Like when I look at my wife and I look at my kids, I look at, my wife and I were married for 24 years. Next year will be our 25th, and then we have 4 beautiful kids, and we have good relationships with all our kids, and that's what I'm most proud of. I look at them and and it's just we've just, I don't know, maybe I'm getting older, I'm getting sappier, but no, I just love my love my family, love my wife, love my kids. And when my kids are watching my kids grow and become who they're becoming.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, and if our listener wants to work with you or at least learn from you, perhaps from your courses or your YouTube channel or what have you, where should we send them?
Yeah, so the 3 Systems guide on my site is a good place. They want to watch that green, yellow, red video, the link to that on the YouTube channel. 3 Systems guide, you just go to chrisgoegan.com. There's a link there, 3 Systems guide. And that's the best place. And then they can always email me. I'm a human, and I get back. It depends on volume. I may not get back immediately, but I do get back and answer with people. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. And we know each other through a mastermind called Joint Venture Mastermind, JVMM. And it's just I love being in masterminds like JVMM because I get to meet awesome people like you and have you in my network and in my virtual Rolodex. And thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share, Stephan.
Thank you. And thank you, listener. Please implement something that you learned from this episode and not just use it as edutainment. Make a difference in the world. We'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.